What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Check Up. I am one of your co-hosts, Bryce, as always, here with my other co-host, Shayler. Shayler, brother, how are we doing?
What's up, guys? Pacers won a basketball game tonight. So
Pacers win.
yeah, so doing better than most nights.
Yeah, Pacers beat the Kings on a lovely Monday night. Not a whole lot going on other than the Derek Queen takeover.
Yeah.
In New Orleans is still going swimmingly. They played
First
a close game.
triple double this year.
Triple double, yeah. First of many.
Yeah.
Some would say. So yeah. So not much going on tonight, but we have plenty to talk about as always. And today it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a different one. We're gonna take a little break from the on the court product, and we're gonna get into some slop. We're going to slop it up, brother. And we're going to talk about a lot of juicy trade rumors. We're going to talk about all the big names that you know and love that have been mentioned or could theoretically be trade candidates this season. So, yeah, we're going to waste no time. Just jump straight into that and get to our discussion. And we're going to start with the big one, the big fish, the big Greek, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So obviously, this was, I guess, later last week. There was a report from Shams that came out that basically said him and his agent are going to discuss his future with Milwaukee's front office, which sounds a whole lot like, let's talk about getting me traded.
Yeah.
So now that has happened, the cat's out of the bag. It feels like we're not too far away from an official trade request, and that's got the whole NBA buzzing because there's nothing we love more than trade requests. So this is an interesting topic. Shayler, yeah. I guess first question, are you on board theoretically with the Bucks trading Giannis?
I just think that it's just the context of the last major moves that they've made lead them into, I think it's just an inevitability, unfortunately.
Right.
He spent his entire career here. And if he uses his leverage with full force and makes a demand, with the wave and stretch, with the Miles acquisition, with them being 10 and 16. And honestly, like Brooks' departure and just unprepared to build the infrastructure, years in the making to make sure that you're not in a situation like this. It's just kind of been year after year for his time here. And you've got to maximize your time. So I think if he uses his leverage as one of the premier talents in the league and makes with his full chest, makes a demand, I think they don't really have a choice to. Would they like to? I wouldn't assume so. But
right.
It's really up to players. Have a lot more power nowadays to control their own destiny at that level. So,
Yeah, I think they should, I would argue, just because there is merit, I think, to riding out into the sunset. There is merit to it. Like, the Warriors aren't contending for a championship, but their guys are still there. Well, a couple of them are still there. Their main guy is still there, and we get to pretend year after year that they're still competing and contending for a championship, and everybody in that fan base just gets to watch Steph ride off into the sunset and have a lovely retirement. They don't have to go through the pain of watching Steph go play for the Knicks or something. So there is merit to watching your franchise guy just stick with it. At the same time, maybe we have to be realistic. And the Bucks are nowhere near contention. They are not going to be. I respect the Dame move in the offseason and getting Miles Turner, but that has effectively hamstrung them. Like, you can't build a contender in the modern NBA by having $20 million in dead money on your roster. You just can't do it. It's impossible. And, fair experiment. Ryan Rollins has been awesome, but
Yeah.
that team is below 500. They lost to the Nets the other night. Like, they're bad. So I think it's probably in Milwaukee's best interest to try and recoup some assets from Giannis. And then
Yeah.
all parties get what they want.
It was a savvy move to do the wave and stretch. It was also just something that you don't really see that quickly from organizations when they clearly make a bad move, they don't have, and I wouldn't equate like pride to an entire organization and everybody that works for an organization, because it's a weird thing to label to an organization, but like swallowing your pride by saying, you know what, if we do this and we do this right now, we can actually genuinely try, because there was urgency. Like, it's not like, and that's why the Shams story, we would call them Woj bombs, but for Shams, I don't think you would say Shams bomb. I was thinking like a ShamWow.
I was about to say ShamWow.
Like a ShamWow, yeah.
It's a ShamWow. I love ShamWow. We got a ShamWow on the timeline. That's, dude.
Yeah.
The synergy there was beautiful.
I was gonna say it a few minutes ago, but I couldn't. I don't want to interrupt you, but yeah, ShamWow.
Yeah, we got this ShamWow. I like that. We're coining that phrase and we're using it from now on. And when it inevitably takes off, we should get all the credit for it.
Yeah, we're TMing it, but yeah, with the Shams reporting, and I think Haynes was in the mix too, as usual. But shout out to Chris Haynes.
Shout out.
Love me some Chris Haynes, but that they're exploring and they're having a meeting. We just haven't heard anything directly from Giannis yet in his tenure here. So I don't know. I think when there's smoke, there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like this. So to tie it into what we were talking about earlier, do you have anything, Bryce?
No, not really. Just you're gonna get the most value out of Giannis this season. He's got 2 years left on his deal, so you've got 2 playoff runs with him if you trade for him this season. If you wait till the offseason, the other team is betting on an extension, but then you've also, like, if he suffers another injury, like, they pray to God that he doesn't suffer like an ACL tear or something, I think right now they should explore trading him. I mean, he's going to be out with his calf strain for at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Just don't even bring him back this season.
Do you have any thoughts on, like, tinfoil hat reporting comes out? He comes out pretty early in the next game and kind of non-contact, limps to the ground.
No, I was at first until they called it a calf strain. And I believe this is the same calf he injured 2 seasons ago when he missed that series against the Pacers, the first series. Mm-hmm. So I think this is the same injury he's had before.
It's just calf strain specifically as well. It's the year of the calf strain.
It is.
You're preventing the calf strain. It's an injury that you could be as liberal as you want with it and say, he's a big player for us.
Yeah.
Everybody's holding people out long, 4 to 6 weeks, no timetable to return for a calf strain. It just works perfectly. So
there could definitely be an element of, like, I think he's actually injured, but there could be an element of, like, just sit this one out, brother. Sit down for a while. So, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and dive into, I think both of us I at least have one package for each player we're going to talk about. You probably have more than I do. So let's go ahead and dive into a couple packages real quick. We can talk about those, and then we'll move on to our next player. Do you want to go first? Do you have a favorite package?
Yeah, I have a personal favorite. With Giannis, it's like there is smoke. I do think and the argument that we've made is like, if Milwaukee actually wants to commit to this or cooperate, however it ends up happening, and they want to do it this year, they're going to get the most for him. It's just the time. If they agree that that's what's for them, then I think it'd be advantageous to do this now. So I think there's an obvious one. I think just the context is a little bit different than the rest of the players that we're going to talk about with Giannis, because he's Giannis. And so I think there's going to be as many teams as possible coming out to actually try and get a hold of them and see if they can work something out. There's going to be a lot of suitors. Technically, you could place him in any team. The money working out and the packages, and honestly, the third condition being, does Giannis have the leverage to just kind of decide where it is he's even going later in the process? There might be a 2 or 3 team list. I think the Knicks are the package that, it's not my personal favorite. I'll give you your time for the package after, and we'll see if it's that team.
Yeah.
But I think with the Knicks, they might lob OG out as somebody who's available, but I think Towns and Giannis makes sense. I think if the Knicks are serious about doing this, obviously they're going to be fine with, giving Towns up for a trade like this. And I don't see them having Brunson, OG, Bridges, Towns, and Giannis. I think it's obvious that if this trade is going to happen, it's going to involve Karl-Anthony Towns.
Monetarily, it has to, yeah.
Miles will be eligible, I think, by the deadline as well. And so if that's the package, then he would probably be on the move as well. I think he would almost certainly be on the move. If they were to bring Towns in, it would be a similar issue. But I mean, it's pretty simple. If it's going to be the Knicks and it's going to be involving Towns, I mean, the money's pretty much that even. You could throw in OG if you want. They can throw in a pick, maybe 2 max. But I'll open up this discussion to you a little bit as far as what you think that would look like.
Yeah, so obviously it has to include Towns. You would have to have the Bucks thinking that they can reroute Towns somewhere else, because there's absolutely no reason for them to keep Towns, I guess, unless they want to for some reason. But this would have to be the Bucks thinking that they can reroute Towns and that other teams aren't offering anything at all. So it's interesting. I don't know what kind of value Karl-Anthony Towns has after we kind of saw him get exposed defensively. So, if I'm the Bucks, I would be saying like, okay, I want Towns and OG and 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah.
And then you take Giannis and Kuzma. And then, the Bucks can then convince themselves that we can reroute both Towns and OG and get value for them, and then get like 3 picks for Giannis. So they could end up with like 5 or 6 first-round picks, couple of smaller contracts and stuff. If I'm them, that's what I'm pushing for, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Milwaukee, I want OG in that trade. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could throw it could end up being Giannis and McBride, or Towns and McBride.
Yeah.
If they really wanted like Tyler Kolek or something like that. But I think OG equates the value of a couple picks, like you said, if you were to want to accumulate a bunch of assets. Because that's the thing with Milwaukee, is like, they're part of the reason why they're in this situation is that like drafting, putting capital into your drafting room has kind of been like almost antithetical to them.
Yeah.
And they're building up to this point. Like, look what they have. Look at the carcass that they have. And it's a big reason of like, Ryan Rollins has been great for them, but that was like a complete shot in the dark, to be real. I mean, Andre Jackson, they drafted AJ Johnson a couple years.
Traded him immediately.
Traded him for like nothing. They just have nothing to show
for Kuz.
For Kuz, yeah, there's not a core there. So if they really want to reinvent things, which they're going to need to by trading Giannis, their cornerstone.
Yeah.
And they really want to send him to the Knicks, they're going to be demanding OG Anunoby. And I think Knicks are just going to have to do it. I think that they will end up doing that if push comes to shove. You're just going to have it's like, yep, we'll do that.
Yeah, if they really want Giannis, I think they would do what needs to be done. I guess that's the other part of the question. Like, obviously, I think the Knicks would be very much interested. But do you think that actually, like, that probably makes them tier 1, competitors in the East? But does that make them, like, actual championship contenders? Because the only thing I'm kind of curious about is, like, the Dame Giannis fit. Like, everybody was like, this is going to be so awesome. The Dame and Giannis, the pick and roll is going to be unstoppable. And then it was kind of just okay. And I think that's because Dame and Brunson, for this fact, are like pull-up guys. They like to use screeners, get action, get to their spot on big guys, and then pull up. Like, Giannis is just a barrel rolling down, the middle of the court. So the Dame Giannis fit didn't quite work as much as we probably wanted it to, because they're both kind of occupying the same spaces in a pick and roll. So that's the only thing that makes me slightly question it. Now, Brunson and Giannis are both top 10 players in the NBA and top 5 in Giannis's case. So the talent wins out overall, but I'm not just so sure that, like, Brunson, Giannis, that's definitely a championship contender.
Yeah, I think in the East they just flat out would be, but I absolutely get what you're saying. And but it's like a ball don't lie, like, wet dream, like Brunson, Giannis, like
yeah.
But it's I don't know, the Dame thing. I think the whole situation in Milwaukee was just, it felt rushed. And then it took a while to gel, and it never really did. But I think it had a little bit more so to do with Dame than anything else.
Yeah. They also had like 2.5 coaches in like under 2 years.
It is kind of like jarring that Doc is there now.
Yeah.
In the midst of this, like, it's a little unintentional comedy vibes there.
Definitely.
Just him having to be like the essentially the people manager comes in, and Giannis is like actually requested. It's like, well, fuck, like, I kind of feel bad for him, because he was cooking a little bit in the media sphere, and it's like, oh well, it's nice to have Doc, like, his perspective, and he's like, no, I'm going back.
Yeah.
Kind of rough for Doc.
Pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. That's where the conversation's going to be for the most part, because it seems like that's where Giannis wants to go. But I don't know. I'm not completely 100% sold, I don't think.
On the New York?
Yeah, because I don't know. Maybe I just want to hate on New York a little bit. But obviously they should probably do it, because, as you and I have talked about, like, I don't believe in Brunson Cat, like, at all. Like, that defensively in the playoffs just is not viable. It's not viable.
It's food.
Yeah, it's easy money, so it's not viable. So I mean, replacing Cat essentially with Giannis is obviously an upgrade on all fronts. But I'm just not so sure that like 100% they are like the second best team in the NBA. Like, I think they'd still kind of be the 4th or 5th best team in the NBA.
I just think it's going to end up happening because it's New York, and it just feels like the Luka thing for some reason for me. He played for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And now he's in LA. It gives me like Real Madrid, like there's going to end up being like for the massive markets. If there's any help that could be given to them to make sure that we have Giannis in New York and I feel like it's just going to happen. But I don't know. Giannis has spent his whole time in Milwaukee. He probably wants to be somewhere at some point next year like that. So I mean, the Donovan Mitchell thing has been swirling in New York for forever, and it just feels like now that they actually have, you know, their opportunity for like dominance, another era of dominance, they're gonna go all in if they can. So
Yeah.
um, it's just a little weird to get off of Towns this early, but like we just said with Milwaukee, they swallowed their pride and said, we made a bad mistake, and um, we're gonna do something that a lot of teams have never done before and wave this guy and stretch it and go get somebody. And so, I mean, I think the humility of it's not even really humility. It's like yeah, sure. If we have to throw Towns in here to go get Giannis, we'll do it. I don't know. It's just like,
Hmm.
you know, maybe it's a little hurtful to Carl, but I don't know. Feelings don't matter in this industry.
They do not. You want to talk about another team real quick? Another package? We'll do one more,
Yeah,
and then we'll move on.
same thing with Giannis and Kuzma. I think if you pair them, I think my personal favorite is a team who's kind of teetering on and it would probably involve another trade with somebody that's high on their payroll, but it would be the Atlanta Hawks. Um, they would be pairing Porzingis and Trae Young.
You don't have to.
For Giannis and Kuzma, the money would be the exact same.
You can trade. The Atlanta Hawks can trade Zachary Risachet and Kristaps Porzingis for Giannis, straight up, and it works.
Hmm.
So, from Atlanta's perspective, so here's the thing with Atlanta, if you were not aware. So, Atlanta obviously has this New Orleans pick from this past offseason. So, Atlanta has New Orleans' unprotected pick in this upcoming draft. And if I need remind you, New Orleans is like the second worst team in the NBA right now. So, they currently have a potential top 5 pick in this upcoming draft. They also have Milwaukee's 2027 first. So if Milwaukee wants to rebuild and get their picks, like the most important thing is that they go find their picks. They go trade for their own picks. So Atlanta can come in and be a spoiler, and they can be like, hey, here's this New Orleans pick that's a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft, and then you can have your own pick back for next year so you can tank and be bad and get another good pick.
Yeah.
Atlanta can offer that. And then they can also say, here's Kristaps Porzingis, who's a $30 million expiring contract.
And here's the number 1 pick in the draft last year.
And here's the number 1 pick from last year. That, to me, is, from Milwaukee's perspective, is way more compelling than OG and Cat.
Yeah.
In all honesty. And
I think that's the package. If you're purely from a basketball perspective, like,
yeah,
you control your own destiny with some assets. Like,
and this would be the Hawks. This is the Hawks going all in.
yeah.
We're giving up. They have 2 incredible. So, the Hawks could, if they want, they can trade Trae Young, and we'll talk about that later. They could also trade like Trae Young and Risachet for Giannis or something like that. They could also do a package centered around that if they wanted to. Or this could be the Hawks being like, okay, Trae, we're going to go get effing Giannis Antetokounmpo. We're going to bring him here. Jalen Johnson,
Nickeil Walker,
Okongwu, like all you guys were, Porzingis is in and out of the lineup. Risachet has been really up and down this season. So they're not trading away anything super valuable from their rotation, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, and this would be like, hey, East is wide open. We could make it to the finals. We probably won't beat the Thunder, but we could make it to the finals. And we might be interested in that. And you can keep Trae in that, in this scenario, and you can be like, Trae, we're going to give you this season. We got the best team you've ever had around you. Like, let's see what you can do, brother.
I really like that versus whatever I was going to present. It makes a lot more sense because I was involving Trae because I was just thinking, how do I make the money work? Obviously, Trae's okay. Maybe they can buy themselves into Trae and Milwaukee, which I guess he could potentially be in a trade like that. But just packaging Risachet and Porzingis
Yeah.
giving them the picks back, and then inserting Giannis into a lineup that Trey is still in, where it's like, okay, Trey, Giannis is a guy who's won a championship pretty much on his own already in this league.
Yeah.
There's some narrative around you. We like you. We drafted you. We're, well, they drafted him, right? Or it was a draft
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
trade. It was a draft
Yeah.
day.
Technically, they traded Luca for Trey. Technically.
Oof. But anyways, yeah, you could hypothetically be the. I don't know. It's just I like that for Trey because we might talk about Trey individually later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But in that scenario, like he has to shoulder so much of the weight playmaking wise up to this
Mm-hmm.
point in his career. You insert Giannis, who's just a playmaking machine,
Yeah.
just because he absorbs so much attention.
Yeah.
It would be fun. It would. Trey's an incredible passer, and so I like I just as a passer compared to like guys that he's been with before, like pairing Dame with Giannis. I think it'd be kind of interesting offensively. I don't think kind of. I think it would be potentially awesome.
Yeah.
And then
Trey is a better passer than anybody
any
Giannis has ever had.
so just the fun transition stuff, how they could probably play pretty fast, or they could, I mean, they could do whatever they wanted offensively. And Jalen Johnson has shown that like you could, if they really wanted to, and we talk about Trey later, and they don't get Giannis, which they probably won't.
Yeah.
But it's kind of exciting me a little bit, just the thought of that. And I definitely think they're in a position to like you insert Giannis with Nikhil Alexander Walker on the payroll,
Yeah.
trade him with Jalen Johnson for now and for the future.
Yeah.
Akongu's looked pretty okay, and Mo Guy off the bench, like they could make the finals. And you do have a guy now in that situation that has won a championship on his own. So
Yeah.
you let him. He's one of those guys. When he's in the finals, you see what he allows you to do
Yeah.
because you have one of them. So um, the miraculous run that Indiana had last year was like surprising a lot to a lot of people, just because Tyrese jumped onto the scene that year with what he was doing in the playoffs that year. Like the Pacers weren't taken seriously as a team that had one of those guys.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that guy goes down and they can't get it done. But like they would have one of those guys. So if they wanted to go all in, they wouldn't need necessarily even to have to sacrifice much of what would get them there in the first place. When you would think with a market like Atlanta, they have no chance. But
Yeah.
Atlanta's a market that, could flourish, especially with how much the city's just flourished in general. It's one of those cities. So
Yeah.
like it would be interesting for a team like them to actually win the sweepstakes. But yeah.
That's my favorite trade because it just makes the most sense for everybody. I think
Yeah.
it makes sense for Giannis. It puts Giannis in immediate contention. Gives him what he wants. Atlanta's a nice big city, big market. And he could go be an absolute legend there. It makes sense for Atlanta. Like they made the really savvy move with New Orleans this offseason. They basically got that pick for nothing. And they
Yeah.
still ended up drafting their guy, Asa Newell. That was literally who they were going to draft at 13. So they picked up a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, they turned that into a C-
For free.
to an A+.
For free, for absolutely free. And so and they have the 27 Milwaukee pick, and I think obviously Giannis comes in, makes them immediate contenders. They're super interesting. Their top 7 is still really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give Trey, if you have a starting lineup that's, Trey and Nar or Dyson, whoever you want to do, then you have Jalen Johnson, Giannis, and Onyeka. You are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. You have a ton of length and athleticism all across the floor. You've long ass arms all across the floor. You can cover so much space, and there's good shooting in that lineup. I'm a big fan of this. I like this so much more than the Knicks trading for Giannis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been a lot of Giannis talk, so we'll go ahead and move on to a couple of other guys. I'm sure that won't be the last time we talk about Giannis. So there will be more discussion in the future. Do you have is there a guy you want to do next?
We could do do you want to just go ahead and do Trey now?
Yeah.
Or we could do Trey now.
Let's kind of talk about all three of the point guards.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Trey, Ja, and Melo.
Hmm.
We'll kind of talk about them all in conjunction because they're all kind of weirdly connected.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously there's been rumblings. There was rumblings with Melo that you know, he wouldn't mind a trade, something like that. There was some sort of weird thing that got leaked where it was like he wouldn't mind a trade out of Charlotte. With Ja, everyone knows what's been going on with Ja.
Hmm.
That's a whole mess. And then Trey, the Hawks didn't extend him this offseason when they could have. Trey's camp wanted the max. Hawks
Mm.
didn't want to give him the max. And the Hawks, it's basically been widely reported that, like, hey, this is your last chance. And then otherwise, we're moving on. And then he's been injured. The Hawks have looked really good without him. Here we are. These guys are all kind of like slightly damaged goods, but young players who have all been all-stars and all still have a lot of potential, but have some flaws. And a lot of teams would have transgressions about trading for them. So
None
let's
of
talk.
them are none of them are good defenders.
They're all poor defenders. They're all inefficient
Yeah.
as scorers. And then LaMelo and Trey are not bad playmakers, but Ja is certainly not a great playmaker.
Mm-mm.
They're all just. It feels like these are all guys that's like we kind of need to change the scenery. We need to switch things up.
Yep.
So yeah, let's hit on Trey first. If
I think
Atlanta, go
I
ahead,
think
sorry.
he has the most value out of these three.
Probably
Uh,
so, and I think his contract is the shortest.
so
You're not
yeah,
worried about having to pay him for like 3 more years.
yeah. So we can start with we could start with. I mean, do you want to start with him then?
Let's start with Trey real quick. So if the Hawks decide that they want to move on from Trey without seeing him back with this team, do you have like a? I'm not sure that I have a destination that I really love.
Um,
It's kind of hard. There's not a ton of teams that need point guards, and there's
well,
not a.
Minnesota's the one screaming out to me for all of these guys, where I think they're going to be in the market for. I mean, they've got to find one. To be honest, they we've
They
we've
need
just talked
to.
about, we've talked about this before, but like it continues to be a problem because it is a problem. They invested a lot of capital in Rob Dillingham, and I think Finch is a pretty good coach. So, or at least he has the trust with that organization, and he puts them in the doghouse all the time. But I'm not going to act like Dillingham is perfect and defensively, And so bringing in any of these guys is really just out of desperation to put somebody next to Anthony Edwards, and fix a team that's been to back-to-back finals. But that's a team that doesn't really have a clear identity at point guard at the moment.
But
So
what's the trade?
it involves Rudy Gobert.
Why would the Hawks do
I don't know.
that?
I don't
that's
know.
that's what gets really difficult about some of these, and with all the aprons, it's just really hard to trade some of these guys.
Well, I say it has to involve Rudy Gobert, but it doesn't have to. It could be Nas Reed and Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, it could be, but again, if I'm Atlanta, like I don't know why. You know what I mean? Like if I'm Atlanta, like they just need to replace Trey with different guard play.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, you'd want just like more wings. Like that's what makes it so difficult to me, and why these are like we've had all these guys brought up, but I just don't think there's really good spots for any of them.
You can trade him to Memphis or John.
You want to know what my favorite trade package is?
Hmm.
So it's um, it's like you could do like Trey to Charlotte. You could do LaMelo to Memphis, and then like Ja to Atlanta. You could trade them all for each other.
Yeah,
I I,
it's
bel I believe technically that is legal. If they just wanted to go crazy.
it's honestly the one that makes the most sense. Weirdly,
It weirdly makes the most sense. And there's been some rumblings from like some, NBA execs, quote unquote, where they're like, nobody wants to trade for these guys. More often than not, these guys get traded for each other.
yep.
So, do you have any interest in that? If you're like any of these teams, like, would Atlanta want to trade Trey for Ja? Like, does that make sense?
No, but I think LaMelo in Memphis weirdly makes sense to me because like part of the downfalls of Ja is that he's such a unique or part of what they ended up the bed that they made for themselves in a way is that they paid Ja and Jaren, and
Yeah.
so when Ja's on the floor, you want him to be that guy, but he's just he's such a uniquely athletic player,
hmm
and he's a downhill reliant player, but and so he draws attention, but he's just not it's not innate in him like it is for other ball dominant stars to be
Yeah.
as inventive and creative and eager of a creator as LaMelo is. So like LaMelo, while he would be on the floor in Memphis, would give them more of a consistency for like a true playmaker and a different look from a ball dominant star next to Jaren and the guys that they have on their payroll. So it could be something that they could buy themselves into if it were to be a situation for these guys where it's just like you have to trade them for each other. LaMelo would be, I could see them getting around that idea. And then you would have to send Trey to
Charlotte.
Charlotte, which I guess makes sense because I think that could work with Khan and Brandon and
I
in a
actually, I like this is half jokingly, but also kind of genuinely, this is my favorite trade.
yeah.
I
I
think
like the Melo and Memphis thing kind of.
the Lamelo and like every time Lamelo misses a step back 35 footer, like Zach Edey's there to get the rebound. So like that would work perfectly. And then you could have Ja in Atlanta and just let him run up and down the court with Zinger and Okongwu setting screens for him. Like why not? Why not? Who the hell cares? That would be kind of fun, maybe interesting. At least it'd be different. And then Trey in Charlotte is kind of fascinating. Like just bringing in a vet, a savvy guy, a playmaker, and just
That's
let
I like the most. The
yeah
the Ja and Atlanta thing kind of just pulls like hurts my heart just a tad just thinking about it. 'Cause I like Atlanta. Like
yeah I
I
love the Hawks.
I love them and I love Jalen Johnson and putting Ja there. I think Ja is the riskiest of these three. I know that Lamelo
Yeah.
doesn't play, and I get the problems with Lamelo, but I think a change of scenery could actually be what he needs.
Well, it's like
I
he
think
might just need new staff. Yeah, the coaching staff has soured on him. Sometimes, literally, yeah, a change of scenery for these guys who are like supremely talented can kind of just jumpstart them,
yep.
get them back to like playing ball. I think you're right though. Like Ja is the most difficult one. He has the most negative value right now because just all the off court stuff you have to worry about. If you're any team trading for Ja, you are telling Memphis like, I, you got to give me something to take him on. That the only proof I have from like the last 3 years is that this dude's gonna do something dumb and get himself suspended for 25 games, or he's gonna break his ankle like trying to jump over somebody.
Uh-huh. And I just don't think that his game, his basketball game is going to age necessarily as well
Not at
as
all.
some of these guys because he's not when I envision how he's going to be great for me when you're just thinking of like, oh, moving three, turning, with two hands in his face. I could see LaMelo doing that. I could see Trey doing that.
Yeah.
That's not what I think of when I think of Ja. I think of him getting fouled and then making two free throws. or like I just yeah,
Well,
I just,
it's I mean it's like literally he keeps either getting suspended by the team or the NBA is saying, dude, go home and stop doing dumb shit. Or he's trying to jump over Lou Dort in the middle of a playoff game and he's getting himself flipped upside down and giving himself back spasms.
yeah.
Like, that's the problem, is this dude just can't not. Unfortunately, like, he just can't help himself. And
When you started
it's
talking when you started talking about the John Atlanta part, my mind went, well, maybe he could like be really good off the bench, like
but
because
why
I
would but then at that point, if you're gonna bring him off the bench, it's like, why are you trading Trey?
yeah, not that he would obviously start, but like he would maybe start for a little bit, and then they just want to go with Dyson and Nikhil, and he comes off the bench and he's awesome. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's how bad it is. Where it's like I don't even know if you are trading him literally trading them for each other, even in that situation. I'm like, well, I don't really know if I like that for Atlanta. It's just how far it's fallen for Ja due to multiple factors, including he can't stop doing dumb shit. So on top of the basketball stuff, so and the jumping, trying to jump over people and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's hard to wrap my. He's obviously got trade value. He obviously does. He has more trade value. Saying that he has negative value, because we were saying this earlier, like isn't the same as saying that like Tyus Jones, who's had a really bad year in a much different role, has negative value. They both do, but in different ways.
There would 100% be teams that would call
Yes.
if he got put on the market, like, officially. 100%. I understand totally what you're saying. But it's teams aren't calling to be like, hey, I'll give you 3 picks and 2 young guys for him. They're like, I'll give you a bunch of contracts and you give me Ja.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a ton of fits. The only other interesting fit for me is if any team I think could make sense of Ja, the Heat would be an interesting choice. Uh-oh. I lost connection for a second. You
Got
still
a
there?
little bit of depth there. Yeah.
Okay. We should still. Everything should be fine. What was I saying when I cut off?
The only other interesting thing,
The only
or
other. Oh yeah. So the only other interesting team to me that I think could set Ja right would be the Heat. That could be interesting to me because I don't know. People seem to buy into the Heat culture stuff from time to time. Eric Polstra is like a wickedly smart guy. Although, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, Noah LaRoche was the guy who went into Memphis last season and changed their entire offense and got Taylor Jenkins fired because Ja hated it.
because
So,
he
and
typically
and
hates.
and Noah LaRoche is now in Miami. So I guess that doesn't make any sense at all. Never mind.
I mean, if you look up like what the rumors are right now, it's all Miami. So it's there seems to be something going on there, and I it's maybe it's just like agents just sending out like fake smoke, but there is some legitimacy in the forums for Ja to Miami, and technically they could make the money work without trading a guy like Bam. I just don't really.
100%.
I just don't. It doesn't. I guess it's just like it's a place for Ja to be on a team with a good coach to be one of the top 2 options in a to move conferences in a little bit of a lighter. I don't know. I don't really see. I see what it's in it for Ja. I would see why Ja would want to push to go to a place like Miami, but it would involve like I think it would involve Hero because I'm not trying to play both of them,
Yeah,
but like Powell or
the only thing that's interesting with to me about, like, theoretically, and again, the Grizzlies literally tried this last season and Noah LaRoche got fired because Ja hated it so much. So we're talking about what is probably a fantasy, but if Ja bought into their current offensive system, which is literally just like
no pick.
drive, kick, drive, kick, drive, kick, cut, slash, get open for three. It's just like movement. It's a motion offense. It's all it is. Like, I could totally see a scenario in where it's like Ja is able to create a bunch of downhill advantages because he can just blow by people, and the Heat are just making so many cuts that stuff opens up for him and he can get downhill because he's just fast. Like, I think that would be interesting, but there would obviously have to be buy-in from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could see him in an offense like that, just like you said, just relentless, just speed, whip around pass, shot fake kick, just ball moving. If he buys into that, then he could be good in a system like that. But he literally just left a system like that, or his coach just left him to actually be able to initiate it without anybody giving him shit for it. And so maybe it would just be like, if that trade happens, he shakes hands with the assistant that day, and he's just like, well, it's just destiny for me to play in a system like this, and coach, you've got my support. I'm gonna buy in. But it would,
Yeah.
I don't know if like I said, it seems like there's some smoke in Miami, but I just, basketball wise, it doesn't jump out to me as like, wow, like that's an awesome fit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if anybody's. That's the thing. We could just, yeah. This might be we might be coming to the end of the job conversation, just because it's like, I just don't. I don't know what his fit is.
It's hard to tell anymore. Like, I feel like those Memphis teams, they kind of got to the apex of what a Ja-led team could be. And then, of course, like, they trade Steven Adams, and they let Dylan Brooks go, and then Ja gets suspended, coach fired, all sorts of shit went wrong. But I think we've probably just seen the apex of what, like, building a team around Ja looks like for
Yeah,
the most part. And yeah,
I don't think it's to be built around John Morant anymore.
yeah, there's certainly some teams that probably would talk themselves into it, but I'm not too sure how many of them or who exactly they would be. It's hard to know.
I do think Minnesota is going to try and get one of these guys, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, the only thing that's hard with Minnesota is the money. But do you what's kind of funny to me, just like lurking in the back of my mind, is like thinking about the Kings just doing the most Kings shit possible. It just, like, I could totally see the Kings trading for Ja. Ja would hate it. Ja would
Yeah,
hate it immediately. But I could see just Vivek in the press conference. We traded Zach LaVine for Ja. He's gonna bring us to the promised land. And before
yeah.
Ja even lands, he's on the plane, like, tweeting out, like, I hate these guys. He's getting himself suspended again. But I don't know. The Kings are kind of like a chaos team where I could see them doing something like they could go trade for LaMelo. They could go trade for Trey if they wanted to,
Yeah.
like when no one else would. That was kind of an interesting thought in my
No, yeah. I mean, and now I think that's going to happen now.
head. Can't you see the Zach LaVine for Ja saga?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe not Levine, but uh, I mean, yeah. I mean, Levine's Levine's looked all right. I'll give him some credit. I mean, he always looks all right, but
He always
he's.
looks good, and his teams never win somehow.
Did you see the thing he said the other night where he was like, he was talking mad shit
I
the
think
other
it
night.
was like pass me the damn ball or something.
He's like, I'd score 40 every night if they just passed me the damn ball.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like,
all right,
brother,
okay.
you're the only one taking shots on this team, my man. You have the ball in your hands all the time.
He's just got like, and he's not short, but he's just got like, with the way that I guess he feels like he's treated in the NBA. Like, he's regarded as like a top 40 guy, and he probably feels like he's a top 20 guy. So he's just got like constant short man syndrome. I feel like,
Short guy syndrome's a good way to put it.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. The 3-point guards, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm unsure if any of them get moved because, again, just the teams themselves are going to be looking for value for them, and I just don't think the value is to be had. But let's move on to some other players. Do
Laurie
you?
Markin.
Let's do Lowry real quick. Yeah. So Lowry Markkinen. Do you think the Jazz? Do you think Danny Ainge still wants like 7 first-round picks for him?
I'm sure he does, but um, I guess the question is, do you actually think they're going to do it?
No,
I don't think so either.
because they would have done it. If they
Yeah,
were going to do it, they would have done it by now. I have no idea what the Jazz are doing. I don't get them at all.
I think
What
they're trying to win this year.
you know why it doesn't make sense for them to win this year?
Y-
You're
I
never
mean,
gonna guess who has their fucking first round pick top 10 protected. You're never gonna guess who it is.
oh my God.
The Thunder had their pick. The
Yeah.
Thunder had their pick. Top 10 protected. So the Jazz have every incentive to tank, be bad. Do not give the Thunder the 11th pick in the draft. But they very well could. They very well could. I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, and I think we've talked about this so far this season too, where it's just the Jazz with the Will Hardy thing. It's just like, it's not the type of coach that sends the signal that he's just caught, and he was a top assistant for the Celtics, moves over to Utah, highly sought after,
Youngest head
and
coach
then
ever.
yeah, and now youngest NBA coach ever, and they've just been middling for the 5 years that he's been there, and it just, it's they've given him assurances that no, like we're losing, but we're not just going to do the organizational thing where you have a losing record after a few years and we fire you. We get what we're on the same page here. It's a slow burn. But
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically, if you want to supercharge that rebuild and your asking price is what it is to trade Lowry, you could you could go get a couple picks within the next few years, add a couple more pieces. But Lowry is so good that it would be a full rebuild if you trade Lowry.
Yeah.
So that's why their asking price is so high, because they don't have anything else really. And so
But
you trade him.
what I don't understand though, it's like you have Lowry. You are not they're not a playoff team with him.
No,
They're fine. They'll win like 32 games. But like why do you want to do who wants that? Nobody wants that. So like you've had every opportunity to trade him and get great value for him. Maybe not 6 first rounders and like an all-star in return, but I mean, wasn't there the Warriors trade where the Warriors were going to give them like 3 picks and Kuminga and some stuff? It's like just do that.
yeah,
What are you waiting on?
I know. I think that up until this season, that asking price sounded fucking ridiculous. And I think Lori's always been like, if we could get 3 picks off, we would both be advocates for getting a guy in the building like Lori. We think he's that good. But I mean, his numbers are juicy this year. And so like the time is now. If they want to trade him, he's averaging 30 fucking points per game. And there are teams out there that could give you incredible packages.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the end of the day, we're both on the side that if they would have done it, if they were going to do it, they should have done it already. And that's probably a sign that I guess they're just going to let it ride with him. But if they do you want to go into some packages on what's maybe the return would look like?
Yeah, sure. So do you want to talk about the obvious team? Do you have like an underdog team at all that you're kind of?
Yeah, let me see. I have a weird, yeah, I have a weird package that I could throw out there for you. It would be with the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is that the obvious one to you?
No, 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 no. That is definitely a team that was, I think, rumored at one point. I'm interested to hear what your package is.
It would be Fox involved.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Well, I just see Fox for San Antonio as just a kind of a wild card for them, depending on when Vic comes back. If they want to, I just it's a weapon for them to use at their disposal if they feel like they want to be buyers again this year. I just feel like if they pair him with 3 first round picks, if not more, they might be able to get Utah to be like, whatever. It, I think that's pretty potent, honestly. I think maybe Fox doesn't carry awesome value, but I think if you pair him with like 3 or 4 picks and maybe throw in Sohan to make the money work,
I.
is that ridiculous?
Hmm. 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 I don't love that for San Ant. So I'm conflicted with Lowry. I think Lowry is awesome. He's also kind of just scoring a lot of points and it's not really doing anything.
I
They're
just
not and again, kind of but like nothing in a lot of like the early parts of some of these seasons, that's the Jazz aren't doing a whole lot to stop the team from winning. We just talked about how they're letting them play. And Lowry goes out and he scores 30 and like they still kind of suck. I don't know how good Lowry is.
I think his ability to like he scores a lot of his stuff and like for how many points he's averaging, it's a lot of just like cutting.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to score over there.
Yeah.
So it's also just like very simple like cuts, off ball work, spot up threes that are wide open.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, cuz he
I
can shoot over anybody. He gets switches and he'll just catch the ball down low and put it up.
but I think San Antonio in a weird way, if you were to put him at the 4 with Vic at the 5 and Dylan Harper still on your team,
Yeah.
oh, they've tried to get guys, and I think Laurie might be the best example of a guy that they want to kind of put around Vic in this offense where well, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, uh, they've just got a plethora of guys that Harrison Barnes is a big example of like Laurie's
Very
just like
big.
a huge upgrade of kind of what you're trying to get out of a lot of the guys that you've tried recently to just have like a clean spot up option that can move off ball, be a solid 4 next to Vic at the 5.
Mhm.
I think it would be a good fit, but I think Glory's just his skill set just allows him to kind of be a plug and play type guy anywhere.
Sure.
Um, but I do think that the asking price, given just we've seen him blow up since he's been in Utah, but just the way that he scores just seems like, well, an NBA team is going to score
Mhm.
100, 110 points a game,
Yeah.
and he is massive and has great touch and is obviously a good basketball player, but like somebody's got to do it. So I get what you're saying. It can be a little risky, but I think with Fox, it's like I'm not bought into Fox being there. I think he holds enough value to where if they just pressured them, put him in a deal, if they really wanted to go out and get a guy like that, and just said,
Mhm.
okay, here's your starting point guard, and here's 4 picks. I don't know.
You can also. I'm sitting here. I was messing with the trade machine. Um, you could get it done without Fox in the deal.
It'd be Vassell and Johnson.
You could do Devin Vassell, Kelly Olynyk, and Carter Bryant.
Oh.
Gets the money done because I was like, you could do Vassell and like Keldon or something, but I think if you give up Vassell and Keldon Johnson, that kind of like decimates their wing depth a little bit. So you could trade
Champagne.
Kelly. Yeah, I like Champagne though, but yeah, you could do Vassell, Olynyk, and Bryant works monetarily, and then I throw in however many picks you want. You could probably do 3 or 4 picks if you want to. San Antonio has a really interesting. The Kings gave them like a swap in like 2031, and I'm like, oh, any Kings pick, I want that.
I think
So
I
like,
might have went in there. Yeah.
yeah, so like you could give them the Kings swap, and then two, maybe three. They have a Dallas pick in 2032. So like, if you wanted to go crazy, it's like Dallas pick, Sack pick, and then a San Antonio pick. Like two really good first rounders, and then one of the Spurs own. Like, does that get it done? Is that interesting enough? And then you keep Fox, who like I I like I like De'Aaron Fox. Like the Beam team was an awesome basketball team, and then the Kings went and Kingsed it all up and ruined it. So like you have a veteran point guard on the roster. You have just tons of playmaking and ball handling between Fox, um, Castle and Harper, and then like, I mean, you have if Vic is healthy, you've got a Wemby Lowry front court. Like,
I just think it makes a little bit of sense because they just have they have the packages that could make it work. They have the picks that could make it work. And when Vic is inevitably going to be out for 30 of your games, which you're just kind of on a floor, just saying, okay, he'll play over under 50 games for us this year. You have
yeah,
that guy, you have Fox still on the roster, and you have Larry Markkinen on your team who has already shown that he can give you, you know, a he could shoulder part of the scoring output, if not most of it for you on any given night. So I don't know. I think it's a weird, like, interesting team to look at. Um,
I
I
kind of like that more than I thought I would.
yeah, I think the obvious one that we both probably have is Detroit basketball, right?
Detroit basketball. Yeah, the Detroit Pistons go out and get Kata Spacer, basically just doing like an upgrade on the Tobias Harris spot, but it's an upgrade. Like, I'm trying to think of an equivalent upgrade, but it's not just like a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
You're going from like a fine role player to an all NBA level player. Like, that would be awesome. And Lowry in Detroit kind of rules, I think, for me, because you could just like we talked about, Lowry getting like all this finishing around the rim. Like, we're seeing what Cade is doing for Jalen Duren this year. Imagine what he could do for Lowry as a pick and roll partner. Like, that'd be really awesome.
So in this package, I would imagine you have Tobias Harris involved,
Of course,
and
yeah,
you have Aiden Ivey in the package.
I do.
So that I have the same thing, but I threw Duncan in there as well, and I made it 3 for 3 with Utah throwing it, or with Detroit throwing in 3 picks, 26, 28, and 32, and they get Cody Williams and Walker Kessler back.
Oh, huh?
But and it worked, but I think if you're gonna, I think Jaden Ivey is weirdly, even though he's looked a little shaky this year, he's just got so much time left to. I think he's the most tantalizing maybe option out of the players that they would get in that package, but I don't think any of them. I think Tobias, you might even look to move off of if you can.
Mm-hmm.
I say that, but as I was saying that, I was like, well, if you're just trying to tank and you're getting picks back and
Mm-hmm.
you're taking on Ivy, and you might just keep Tobias because he could be a placeholder for the type of output that you would have expected if Laurie was still on your team.
Yeah,
And so you kind of just ride with him as maybe a take commander a little bit.
yeah,
You appreciate that they throw Ivy in the offer and you make the money work with like a third player. And you send out Kessler, who you don't really seem to care about very much, and Cody, who you kind of whiffed on. But
yeah. It's tough. I think if I'm Detroit, I I'm not well, and Kessler's like out for the year, so Kessler's not going to give you anything.
yeah,
I would honestly have a lot of feelings about giving up Duncan. Because Duncan is so important for them. When he's not on the court with Cade, like their spacing
Uh,
dies. And granted, you would be getting Lowry, of course, but
you could just throw Karras in there instead.
yeah, that's interesting.
Same money, really.
Yeah. Are you like so? Hmm. I didn't really think about like Detroit going and getting like other guys from Utah too, not just Lowry. You know what I mean? I hadn't
Yeah.
really thought about that. The so that's I might have to like think that over because I'm like trying to rack my brain through Utah's roster. I'm like, is there anybody else that like maybe you could slip in there instead that like Detroit might have a little more interest in? I wonder than like maybe like a Kessler.
Well, they got Kyle Anderson, right?
Sure, I don't think he's like doing anything for him.
He's not, but he makes 9 million. So if you're just looking for, I mean, Niang makes 8. If you're looking for like assets, I mean, Hendricks could potentially be an asset. Uh, Filipowski and Collier make like pretty much minimum, but
Flip is good.
Flip is good, and Keontae is not making a lot of money, but I'm sure they want to keep him. But you could certainly throw him in there. I think he probably has the most value. Maybe Flip has a little bit more, or even level
Uh,
value.
Keontae is probably more valuable at this point. Keontae's having a really good season.
And I think Collier has probably some value with some organizations. So
He's interesting. The
they've got they've got
oh sorry. No, you
or go
go.
ahead.
Sorry. You go. Because I was gonna flip things up.
They have like a bunch of like younger assets that I think could be appealing. I mean, even Sensabaugh, Walter Clayton, but they don't make enough money. You'd have to throw like 4 of them in there, and I don't. Then it just doesn't make any sense. Um,
Sensible
yeah.
is an interesting name to me. The package that I had come up with is obviously Harris and Ivy, and then you could just throw someone like Chaz Lanier or Bobby Clintman in there
Yep.
or Marcus Sasser, but I don't know why Utah would want another point guard. Um, One of those kind of interesting end of the bench Detroit wings, young guys, and that works monetarily. And then you could talk about three or four firsts if you want.
Yeah. I was wondering what the pick conversation was going to be here. How many they would have to. I think 3 is probably the over under there, and they're
Or
unprotected.
yeah, you're probably talking about like very light protections. Or can I interest you in like take out include like one maybe 2 picks and put Asar Thompson in the deal for
I
Utah.
would I would do that for Giannis.
You wouldn't trade Asar for Lowry.
I think Ivy specifically if I'm sending him to Utah, I would I would have an inflection point in the phone call, and I'd be like, let's be real. I'm not giving you Ivy, Anasar, and 3 picks.
Not and 3 picks. I'm saying like 1 pick.
I like him, but if I'm being real, I think I could get behind that. I was thinking like 3 picks. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I didn't hear you right there.
No, you're good. I definitely no. We would be dropping the pick capital way down. So then
Yeah,
Detroit could reserve a little bit of their a little bit of their war chest. The only reason I am kind of like I like that construction is because it's really hard to me to play Asar and Duran at the same time. And like Asar is awesome. Asar is very, very good. Excellent defender, rebounder, wild athlete, strong finisher around the rim. Like, does a lot of little things stuff. But I just don't know if him and Duran can play together.
So it'd be Ivy, Tobias, and Asar, and like one lottery protected pick.
Yeah.
Because that's a great package.
I
I
think
love Utah.
I think that's good value for Utah. Like you take the flyer on Jaden Ivey, you're like, okay, let's see what you got. Let's come bring it in. We're gonna give you a lot of minutes. Let's play you. And then for them, like, dude, Utah desperately needs defense before Will Hardy has another aneurysm on the court.
Yeah, they need a guy like Asar like that. I love Asar in Utah.
It would be really awesome fit for them, and that's where I could see like the Utah being like, okay, this is a guy we really value. Like, let's take 2 picks off, and yeah, you just give us like a lottery protected first or a top 10 protected first or something, and then we take a Sar Ivy. You could throw in again one of the other young bench guys if you want, Clintman, Chaslinier. I don't care, and then I think that's a really interesting deal.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Because initially I was like, well, but Asar doesn't, you know, Asar's important for what Detroit's been doing, but I think Detroit in general just has like they have a system and a culture that they've built there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they could get a little bit, maybe a little bit more liberal and flexible already with just building around Cade and Durant, and maybe some of those pieces are a little bit more interchangeable. But Detroit's just like becoming one of America's teams, and I
Yeah.
love Asar. So initially it was just like fear of like, no, like, but you know, he presents some interesting limitations, and in a place like Utah, his strengths would be amplified. With also just the cushion of like, you're playing, we're not taking you out. If you send Asar to Utah, he's going to play, Thibodeau minutes over there.
Oh my
He
goodness.
play 44 minutes a game. So
Will
I love,
Hardy would love him.
oh yeah, and just him next to Ace. If that was what you were thinking about long term, they
Yeah.
counter each
Like I don't hate a front court of like Ace, Asar, and like Flip.
other. Yeah,
I don't hate that. I really like I don't mind that. And I again like Asar could do a lot for the Jazz. And Asar Thompson is again a very, very good basketball player. But just for the Pistons specifically, like if we're talking about playoff basketball, and we saw this against the Knicks, like it muddies up the court. The spacing gets very, very questionable if we're playing, Cade, Asar, and Duran all at the same time.
yeah.
The spacing just gets hard. So
I think that would help both teams out. I like that one a lot.
yeah, that's a good one. So
Um, I was thinking maybe we have time for one more player or maybe two, but I have a player by the name of Anthony Davis that
yeah,
I think Dallas might be looking with for some options on. So
yeah. Yeah, we had Kawhi and Harden on the list, but I don't think it doesn't make sense. Like I don't think the Clippers are going to trade anybody. The Clippers have like literally all of their contracts on the team end in like 2 years. So the plan was always like, we'll just ride this out. We don't have our picks. Who cares? We'll just play, and then our books will be free in 2 years, and they're not going to muddy that up just because they're bad this season. It doesn't make any sense. So
yeah,
no real reason to discuss those guys too heavily. Let's talk about AD. He's a difficult one. Cause
yeah, but it was a little bit easier for me as I was looking across the league to find suitors that would potentially be willing to say, you know what, I will give you some picks here. I don't know if you felt the same, but
picks.
um, yeah, it's out of desperation, but I mean, I have one for you.
Hit
Maybe a
me.
funny one if you're interested. It would be the Chicago Bulls.
That's who I have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, okay, Dallas, we are trying to get off of Vucevic. I know you are feeling the same. If you want to do something that could benefit both of us, to make the money work for the most part. And even though it doesn't really make the money work, the Bulls would end up just throwing in, like, I threw Zach Collins in there as well and Kevin Herter, and then I put like 3 first-round picks. And I
Ooh.
said, because that's maybe too much, but my whole idea was, I don't think that Zach Collins, he's hurt all the time. He's making like $20 million. If you just say, hey, Dallas, if you're willing to take on some of these contracts for us, we'll let you get out of this. We'll end your misery. Because I honestly think it's just, panic mode
I think
for,
if Dallas got offered 3 firsts, they're taking that. Yeah, Collins is expiring.
yeah. Well, I threw Herter in there as well, but Herter's honestly been pretty good.
Herter's been
Um,
so necessary.
I know, but he makes a lot of money. It was just like, okay, that was like my buyout example. Where
Sure.
it's like, if Dallas just wants to take on some contracts so that they can get out of this, the Bulls would definitely be willing to get off of Vucevic. So,
I am not sure Anthony Davis is going to return any draft capital.
mhm.
Maybe a first, depending on what contracts we're talking about. Honestly, he's hurt all the time. He might be hurt right now, and
Mhm.
I think most teams they're afraid. If you're listening to some of the big reporters talk, again, I was talking to you before we started recording that like Brian Windhorst was going ballistic this past week, being like teams are not willing to trade first round picks right now. First round picks are the ultimate currency in the NBA. So I just don't. I'd be curious to see if they can get any draft capital for him.
Do you think if the Raptors are buyers at the deadline, that they'd move off of Barrett and quickly for him?
No,
No.
no, because like I, you're gonna start a lineup with like Scotty and
And Ingram.
Ingram, AD, and Pirtle. Like, there's no shooting. My trade package was Vucci, Patrick Williams, Kobe White.
Oof.
It's over. That's it. Done with. That's all you get. That's what you get. No picks. No nothing. 3 contracts for AD. That's it. Thank you for taking on Patrick Williams.
Mhm.
Here's a flyer on Kobe White. You can see if you want to extend him. Here's a guard for you, Dallas. And you give us AD, and we'll see if he can play 30 games the rest of the season. And then if Dallas wants, Vooch and Kobe White are both expiring. So that's like $30 million that they can just let expire this season if they want. And then they don't have that on the books anymore. And then you just say, thank you for taking on Patrick Williams' contract. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis was born in Chicago, right?
Born in Chicago. Yeah, and then, the Bulls are kind of like, those are... Kobe White's been fine since he got back, but
Yeah.
we suck right now.
And
We're
we
like,
kind of have figured out our guy at point guard at the very least.
yeah, like Kobe White's fun, but we have a point guard for the
Giddy's here now.
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did Colin Cowherd say? Don't worry, Kobe. We have Giddy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I had the Raptors trade with yeah, I get what you're saying with the shooting. Maybe not, maybe Barrett, or I just, the quickly 32.9 million is just so gross to me.
He makes
So I
so
was
much
like,
money.
I get that they need spacing, but if I were to, they were like, you're the new GM of the Toronto Raptors, I would honestly just be like, I don't want these guys. Get this off of my payroll. And I'd honestly be willing to just be like, Anthony Davis, okay, sure. I'll get, I not
I
really, but
well, I mean, like they kind of do Just do that. They kind of like are like buy low guys. They're like Brandon Ingram. Why not? They traded for
Yeah,
Kawhi after his knee was messed up for that entire season and won him a championship.
and I've never really liked Brandon Ingram, and I didn't understand the trade. Like I didn't understand it. But he seems to have a new wind under him with the whole Glorilla thing.
The wind beneath his wings.
Yeah,
Our girl
he's a
glow.
ball. Watch out, NBA.
Watch out. Watch out.
Bi.
I like a really funny one. The AD trades again are hard because it's difficult to find a team that would be willing to shill out stuff for like a 32-year-old hurt Anthony Davis. Like if I don't know if there's anything with the Warriors that is possible, but the Warriors are just like they're so tiny. And
It's
they
just
need
wild because he just got traded for Luka Doncic. Just it's just sometimes you just got to remind yourself. It's like he just got traded for Luka Doncic, and now we're like nobody wants to trade a first round pick for him. Like just and what we're discussing is like the package that we discussed is like here's Kobe White, Patrick Williams, just take it and
just
be happy.
You're right. You're totally right. But I it's insane. It's insane to think about, but I'm not sure that Dallas is going to get what they want out of this. I don't know
They're
who's
they're gonna have to take what they can get. Is what they're gonna have to do
yeah.
because it's unfathomable that they're in this situation and that they fucking did that. It's still crazy that they did that.
It's
But
still
they did.
crazy.
And he is 32 years old and he is fucking hurt all the time. So you're going to have to get what you can get because I still think that you could get something. But it's of course you're going to be able to get something for a guy who you just traded with the confidence enough confidence in order to fucking do it to begin with. You traded him for Luka
Right.
Doncic. So now it's just, it's just such a crazy conversation.
It is insane. And I maybe there is a team that could like squeeze a little bit of value out of him. Again, my mind flutters back to the Kings. Would the Kings be dumb enough to do some shit? I
Yeah.
don't know. They always are. Every time you say the Kings wouldn't be dumb enough, they are always dumb enough. They're always dumb enough. Would they do like Domas for Anthony Davis?
That is a name that I think we're going to be talking about next year.
Domas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Sacramento, look, we just brought them up because they're down to do some fuck shit. And they're always down to get, grimy or, get freaky with it. So,
yeah.
and they don't seem to like guys that, I don't know, like Malik Monk might be a guy that they actually trade this year, but I don't think I think they're just going to sit with what they have this year and maybe next year. I like Reyno a lot. He played really well against us tonight. They have somewhat of a backup plan if they wanted to say, you know what, Sabonis, we're going to shake your hand with earnest, appreciation for what you did for us, but let's find a place for you, homie. Because it's just they have to be real with themselves. They're going on a ship going nowhere. So
Stinks.
he could, it could be like we could get a ShamWow this year where it's like Domas for Anthony Davis this year, but I definitely think he's
That's so
going to be
gross.
he's going to be in the conversations maybe in the next couple years as far as how long is this going to go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of sloppy slop to kind of soak up and think about. It's kind of ugly when you think about it. NBA fans and we all get so excited when these names pop up. You're like, "Oh my god, LaMelo Ball might be traded. Anthony Davis might be traded." But when it gets down to it and you start thinking about it, It gets ugly fast.
Yeah,
It gets ugly fast. So,
but it is December, well, December 9th as we're recording this.
technically, yes.
Uh, December 15th is when a lot of these guys are going to start becoming eligible to actually be traded as of like effective immediately a week from
Mm-hmm.
now. So um, a lot of these, I think, just reports and simmerings and stuff like that will start to trickle out. Um, this is really just a primer for a lot of the major guys and seeing what makes sense out there as even suitors for some of these guys, and if we do believe that there's even a market, or if we actually think they're going to get traded or not. But if any of the guys that we talked about today get traded, that's pretty fun stuff. Um, I mean, there's a lot rumored, and there's some, I mean, big names here. Giannis, Giannis at the top of that list. Like that discussion was fun, and it's just, you could talk for hours about him fitting anywhere. It's just seeing
Definitely.
who's going to rise to the crop and actually like enter the sweepstakes. It's a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Um, we just got spoiled with Luca, but it's not every year that you have a guy like that. It's like genuinely like making the move to like put his name in the hat and like get out there to a different place. So
It's crazy.
we'll be talking about that for months.
Yeah. I I'm excited to see how it develops. We're gonna get the official trade request eventually. Like it's gonna happen. So just gotta wait it out. Get ready
It
for it.
it's hard as a Pacers fan for me not to really relish in it. I wouldn't say relish because I'm not really like that. But I mean, come on. They act out of desperation to bring Miles in. And I was always of the opinion in the moment where I had just watched that entire postseason run. So I was like, okay, the whole time I was kind of just, he was the longest tenured guy here, and we really needed him in moments where we didn't really get what we could have had on a
Right.
game to game basis down the stretch on a title run. So my opinion was like, I know that he's coming up on a contract extension, and I don't necessarily want to pay him that.
Yeah.
They chose not to pay him that. Milwaukee did something unprecedented, and now we're in a conversation 5, 6 weeks into the year where Giannis is already looking to get out of there because he gets hurt and they
Yeah.
suck. When
It's
Miles is the guy on the floor, it's like, what do you think's going to happen? So it's a little vindicating, if I can't lie, but I wish him the best, and um, it's just a little comical, but um, yeah, it's also interesting to think that he might, depending on what package they get, he might be on the move already, and what teams would be interested in taking Miles on is also a conversation that we could end up having if they really want to blow it up, which is just fascinating to think about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely could. Um, it would also be very funny if the Pacers went and traded for Giannis. I just went and checked if they could. They technically could. They won't, but they could.
I was thinking like
This is hilarious.
I had
That would be
I had a
hilarious.
thought today where like we trade for Miles back in a three-way that involves Giannis, or like we are the third team that enters the Knicks trade where we're the team that takes on Towns.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of thought about the Miles trade back thing too. I had
Yeah,
that thought.
I think it's more than a 0% chance.
It could happen. I don't. I don't know. The
It
only
would be
thing that's hard
so
is
funny where it's just like he has to go on ESPN and be like, he sits down with Malika Andrews, and it's like, I was just acting out of adrenaline. This has been a crazy 6 months. He has to apologize to the city, and then 2 days later, they announce that Miles is on his way back, and it's like, well, it's like a Bruce Brown Denver situation. It's just like we're good.
yeah, we're
Tyrese,
with you.
and it's the same team again.
That would be
Low,
very funny.
low key kind of want that now.
I wish there was a way to make it happen where the Pacers didn't have to give up like anything.
Yeah,
Uh,
Taylor Peter and
Not my boy.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
not my guy. Come on, man. Don't do that. Take Cam Jones instead.
Well, that would
Oh,
we send him to Milwaukee. We'd be sending him to Milwaukee,
he's home.
I guess. But the DUI and like the beer culture,
The
isn't that where
DUI.
they make Anheuser Busch? No, no.
No, that's it's Miller. Miller's up there.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
the
It'd be a rough
beer,
spot. Man.
the beer culture. Yeah, if you guys aren't tuned in to Cam Jones's DUI saga in Indy, like 2 days after he landed here,
Yeah,
you should get tuned in. He went to where did he go to? Did he not go to school in Wisconsin? Am I crazy?
Marquette.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Send him home. Send him
Yeah.
home. Oh man, is there any other guys you want to talk about that might get traded that aren't stars? Do you have any interesting names? I don't think I
I
do.
saw a rumor today on I think it was like NBA Central or something. They were like Kyrie has ties to Minnesota. Just throwing that out there.
I would hate that so much, but that would be kind of cool.
I don't. He's not even a. Maybe he. I did see some workout videos where he was like, it was a couple months ago, but he was like, I might be back.
Yes.
I might be back
Workout vids.
after Christmas. Um, no, not really. I mean, Zion was a name that I tried, but I literally think he might just end up getting cut, which is crazy to say. I don't think he will actually,
Yeah.
but I think it's possible that New Orleans is literally just like, let's wipe our hands clean and just cut you.
There's a super interesting. I didn't come up with this, but there's a super interesting trade where like you could do a three-teamer with Giannis going to New York and like Karl Anthony Towns getting rerouted to New Orleans, and then the Bucks basically taking a flyer on Zion and getting Zion and like OG and
Yeah,
a bunch of picks and stuff, and it's like, that was kind of that's an interesting thought experiment.
but the Kawhi and Harden thing, both of them, it's just hard. They both make a lot of money. They're both in their mid to late 30s, and Kawhi with the aspiration thing, they're probably just gonna land the bed that they made. I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody else really, but obviously, as like I said, in a week, once most of these players become trade eligible, it's you know, this is just the introductory. So names will maybe start coming out here.
Can I give you my favorite James Harden trade real quick?
Please.
Um, James Harden for Fred Van Fleet and Dorian Finney-Smith and like picks. And like 2 picks or something.
Houston would be giving picks
Mm-hmm.
because they would only be getting one player this year that can actually play.
Yeah. Yeah, DFS I still hasn't played, right? I don't think he's played.
Is that just healthy scratches?
I don't know what's going on with him. He got hurt before the season and then just I still don't think he's played yet.
Hmm.
But he was supposed to, and he signed a 4-year deal. But then theoretically, like I don't know, I think Van Fleet has another year, right? Or did he sign an extension?
It
Yeah,
was
he's got another year.
it was
So,
two. He's living out the first year, right?
yeah, so he's technically got one more year, so that doesn't really hurt the Clippers monetarily. Like it's the same length of Harden's contract. And then if they wanted to, they could flip Dorian Finney-Smith for something.
Yeah, and then they
Two
could just
seconds or something.
let Van Vliet do the Harden shit if they still have Kawhi on the roster for another year, and then they're off of it.
They could do that, or they could try to trade him as an expiring for
Mm-hmm.
something, and then that would basically just be the Rockets being like, "Let's bring James home."
That's awesome. I like that.
It'd be kind of sick. I don't know how realistic that is, like at all, because it's obviously an entirely new regime in Houston. So
Like him and KD again with. Oh man.
yeah, I was like talking about this with my brother today. It's like you could just basically revert, just make Harden a super facilitator.
Yeah.
Like, let him play a super low effort role where he's just rolling, rocking pick and roll with Alperen Şengün all game long and being a spot up shooter and just be a facilitator.
But weirdly, I like it for LA because it's like, look, you can get out of this mess. Like
Yeah.
one year, Van Vliet's not even going to play this year, and you could get off of him and just, you're off of both. You're off of having to, accommodate Harden for the rest of his career. Like you're off. You're off.
You're just
Because
done.
it's
Yeah.
a ship going nowhere.
Yeah, and I like it more than like the Minnesota deal because with Minnesota you'd have to take back like Nas Reed. And Nas has like a 4-year deal with a lot of money, whereas this is a short contract that expires at the same time as Harden's. And then DFS only makes like 12 mil. Like you could flip him very easily.
The thing with Nas Reed is that I don't see why Minnesota would even get rid of him. It just seems like that's your guy.
It's because
Gobert,
it's the only way to trade for anything.
yeah. It's just maybe try and see if somebody will take Gobert right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I guess the problem is just who's taking Gobert. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah, I mean nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing it, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, bring James Hone. I think that'd be fun. It's like a fun deal. But yeah,
Oh,
I don't have any. You could speculate all day on all sorts of guys. Yeah, we didn't really bring up Phoenix ever at all. I think Phoenix is like an interesting like dark horse, but they just don't have like any picks. So it, I don't know. I don't know who they'd be trading for. Maybe they could get in on the Anthony Davis sweepstakes. Like that could be an interesting thing where it's like something around Jalen Green and some other contracts for Anthony Davis, maybe. But
do you think? And we can end up wrapping this up at some point, but
yep.
I'm just having fun here. Do you
Yeah.
think the Pacers would consider if they really bottom out? Because I've been hearing this from a lot of fans within the city that they would be interested in looking into options to get off of Pascal Siakam.
Do I think the Pacers would consider it, or do I think they should?
You can answer either.
Do I think the Pacers would? No. Do I think
Yeah,
the Pacers should? No.
I agree.
I don't think the Pacers would because they're kind of like a homegrown small town organization. Like Pritchard and the guys, they seem like very like Pascal's one of their guys. And
Yeah.
they're not gonna just move off of him just because I guarantee that team fully believes that once Hallie's back next year, they are championship contenders again.
Mm-hmm.
Like they took the Thunder to 7 games, and this Thunder team literally might put up the best record in the regular season we've ever seen. Like they're not that far away. So, and Pascal has a game that will age, I think, gracefully. He's just got a lot of touch. He doesn't require on a ton of like upward athleticism. He's always going to be big and long and really freaking smart.
And he doesn't get hurt, and he hits the
Oh,
floor all the time. Like
yeah.
he's a
Yes.
bullet in a china shop, and he's always on the ground, and he's just so durable. He's awesome. I love Pascal, and I agree. I wouldn't if I were Indiana in any shape or form, and I don't think they're going to, but I guess there's just some conversations about this might be the most value that you could get for him hypothetically, and with his timetable, I don't really buy it, but
Yeah, I
we're
just
we're really bad, and it's really just a thing where it's like Siakam might end up getting hurt this year if we try and shoulder all of this on him, but or that he wouldn't want to be here anymore because of how bad we are this year. I think that he understands the context of what this year means. I think it's just honestly like,
I think he loves this team and loves the city.
yeah, I think so too, but I just think that, and it's weird to say this, but I was coming into this year thinking that we were going to be. I remember saying on our first episode when we did the over unders, I was like,
Mhm.
Indiana's going to be a playoff team still. I think people are overacting too much about how Tyrese is the complete system, and
Yeah.
and I was wrong. But a lot of that had to do with just the compounding injuries at the beginning of the first 2 weeks of the year where everybody else got hurt as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, well, we haven't won a game yet. And we're like 8 games into the year. And, that's a tough hill to climb. So it's honestly a blessing, honestly, just to have a gap year where in this draft class we get our pick back and we can,
Yeah.
because I don't know, you're right. It's a team that took a historic, blossoming dynasty, your favorite team, to 7 games.
Yeah.
Um, it was kind of felt like a miracle to almost everybody.
Yeah.
And it would definitely be really helpful if we could add a legit dude to that core. So it,
Yeah. I, no, I'm just like I'm sitting here looking at this. Like Pascal's got 2 more years on his contract after this. He'll be almost 33, 34 by the time that's ending up. So we're probably talking about him signing a much smaller deal. Like, is it not hard to imagine the Pacers with like a 28-year-old Halliburton and like 21-year-old AJ DeBonsa and like old man Pascal Siakam just being an effing awesome basketball team?
yeah, see, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like that would be awesome. That would rule. Like I can see that vividly in my mind. I don't think
Mhm.
he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. It's just something that I've been hearing a lot from Pacers fans down here.
That's
And
interesting.
I think it's just stereotypical, like, local sports talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that everybody on that team understands what this year means. And we're giving a lot
Yeah.
of, like, Nemhard's getting a lot of really awesome reps right now.
Mhm.
And Matherin's getting a lot of awesome reps. And the bigs that we're going to have to figure out, the Pacers, I keep saying we, but this is an NBA podcast. It's not a Pacers podcast. But, um, you know, they're trying to figure out things with the five. Huff has had some promising stuff. So it's just a year about reps,
Yeah.
not necessarily about wins. And I think that everybody there internally understands the mission. So um, I don't think it's like Siakam is gonna all of a sudden be like, "Why am I in Indianapolis? We suck.
Yeah.
Get me out of here."
No, not at all. I don't think. And again, we talked about a lot in this episode already that like we don't think teams are giving up picks willy nilly. So it's like, what they're gonna go trade Pascal for like a couple expirings and like a first.
It'd be like Kuminga or something,
Like no, no, I don't.
uh,
Yeah.
or Giannis. If the Pacers were actually serious about Giannis, they'd have to trade Siakam.
They could they technically could do it without trading Siakam, but it would also be very funny to trade Siakam for Giannis. That would be insane. I don't think they do that.
It's fucking stupid.
Oh man. Well, I that was a good episode. I think we covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah,
So yeah, we can go ahead and just wrap this one up. It's been a fun just trade pod. Maybe we'll do like a kind of update on this as we get, in early February, late January, somewhere around in there. See what's heating up.
yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and wrap this one up here. So thank you all so much for listening. If you've made it all the way to the end, that's pretty cool of you. And you
Yeah.
should go ahead and just follow the page, subscribe, whatever you want to call it, and check us out. Stay in tune, stay in touch with us. Listen along, please. We'd love to have you. So yeah, I'll go ahead and we'll sign off here. Again, thanks for listening to Checkup. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
See you guys.
Bye bye.